Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the new release of DBD's Skull Merchant and the Tools of Torment chapter. Now, ever since the PTB came out and this killer was first revealed, there's been a bit of, I don't want to go so far as to say controversy, but just a bit of back and forth between the community members about whether or not the Skull Merchant is too sexualized or overly sexualized. And I'd like to talk about that a bit today, as far as it basically comes down to two different things. One, did behavior intend for it to be like an over-sexualized character? And two, is it a bad thing? Now, obviously, these things are, well, is it a bad thing is obviously opinion-based. Different people have different tolerances of what they think is too sexual. But as far as behavior's intentions, I don't think that this is some sort of marketing that they were trying to say like, let's put this out here in a way that it attracts a certain type of player, that they're more likely to buy the DLC, more likely to buy skins for the character. I don't think that that was an intentional design choice. I think that's just more of a bonus that happens in pretty much all media, that if something is a little bit more risque, it tends to sell to a certain client. But more along the character, the background, and their lore, I think that's where this is coming from. For those who aren't aware, the Skull Merchant's lore on the website, basically cut down to a very bare bones story, is that at a very early age, in like her youth in school, she was like top of her class, best of the best. Everything that she was doing, she was head and tails above everybody else. And she loved it. She was super competitive. If anything put her like below somebody else, she was furious about it. And then, just as she's like getting out of school, she fell into a lot of money, and she learned how to properly invest and make more money. She was literally a millionaire at the age of 18. So that type of competitive, best of the best attitude, combined with suddenly being very wealthy, I think that builds more into an ego. When she got into actual like business in her, as she got older, and she started like finding companies to basically gut, flip, and resell, making even more money for herself, she was very successful. And all this combined, I think, has just turned into a sort of ego, swagger. People talk a lot about this walking animation that she was given. When I see this, I don't see it so much as sexuality, as more of, I'm the baddest bitch on the block, and I want you to know it. It's a strut. It's a swagger. It's a, look at me. Here's all the things I'm going to do to you, and there's nothing you can do about it because I'm just that good. Now, of course, there is a bit of irony involved with that, considering that the chapter has not been received very highly right now. There's already been some changes from what was on the PTB. She's better, but overall, it's not a very strong killer. But that's not exactly the point of this. This is more about the character. Now, is it a bad thing for Dead by Daylight to have characters that are like sexualized in some way? Now, I don't think that it's a bad thing personally. I think it's just kind of like the name of the game in all forms of media. And when you're looking to make money, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's what sells. But being behavior as long as they've been making this game. I don't think that that has ever been their point. There have been a lot of things in this game that are quote unquote sexualized. I mean, the spirit basically came out as naked with some bandages covering her. So, I mean, there was a little bit of talk about it, but I don't remember anywhere near as much controversy about sexualization before this. Now, another thing to consider with the design of this character is that people in real life who are overtly sexual or just carry themselves in a more like sexual manner do exist. And behavior over the last several years, especially, has been very, very focused on becoming more inclusive with the characters that they create. People from all walks of life. And this could just be a situation of, because we don't have all the lore, we've only gotten the little bit for the start here of the Skull Merchant's background. Perhaps she is just a more sexual aligned person. Considering her business dealings and stuff like that, she may have been somebody who used her femininity as like a sort of weapon. That happens. But we just don't know enough yet to make that kind of conclusion. That's where I'm kind of thinking in my own headcanon, that she's just kind of like a very, like I said before, very full of herself, but also I believe very like manipulative. So she's going to act in a certain way to make you act in a certain way around her. I think that this is simply just a more of an outrage situation than of behavior actually going out of their way to try and make something to appeal to a certain audience. But those are my thoughts on the topic. What do you think? Do you think that behavior was actually modeling this character to to cater to the horny on main part of the Dead by Daylight community? Goodness knows there's a lot of them out there. But with that, let me know down below in the comments whether or not you think that this was intentional, or if it's just more about like the like lore of the character. I also have a Discord, Twitter link down below where we can get into even more conversations about this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Toodles.